Atman is Brahman. This is the central belief of Hinduism. Known as Santana Dharma, meaning the eternal way, this religion originated in what is now Pakistan and modern-day India and is currently the third largest religion in the world. Essentially, the ultimate goal of Hinduism is to ascend beyond the cycle of samsara, or death and rebirth, to achieve eternal bliss, which is known as moksha. It is believed that every soul is Brahman, meaning the infinite divine, and it becomes a matter of enlightenment to recognize our own divinity. It's what's called Maya, referring to the illusion that prevents us from seeing this divinity. Karma can also keep one in samsara, as it is believed that your actions in one life can influence how you reincarnate in the next. There are four main goals in Hinduism: Dharma, referring to social obligation; Artha, which talks about the pursuit of wealth and material success; Kama, which is the pursuit of pleasure; and Moksha, which is the goal of enlightenment and liberation from samsara. Additionally, Hindus note the four ways to unite Atman, the individual soul, to Brahman, the ultimate divine, which are the four yogas. Raja Yoga, which tackles meditation; Jnana Yoga, referring to knowledge through the scriptures; Karma, which talks about actions to honor the divine; and Bhakti, which talks about devotion. Moreover, Hinduism is more of an umbrella term for a wide set of beliefs. It focuses on the idea that all souls are drops of water in this wide, infinite ocean of the divine, and the self is an illusion that one must be enlightened to see beyond. Last November 9th, I visited the BAPS Hindu temple in Chino Hills. The temple structure is incredibly stunning from the moment you enter the place, and there were even animals in the parking lot. There were peacocks, I think. I met up with Pai at around 10 a.m., checked into the visitor center, and had a very insightful conversation with the person at the front desk. Khan, I think his name was. Pai asked if the temple was hand-carved, and we learned that the entire temple was hand-carved in India, broken down into little sections, and then shipped and reassembled here in California. We also learned that teakwood was used to ensure the durability of the temple against things like temperature and weather, and that this structure took about 5 years to build. We then visited the gift shop, which was filled with everything from figures of gods in different shrines, to religious books, Indian herbs and spices, and souvenirs like stickers and bracelets. We then fought every urge to buy every snack we saw from the cafe and sat outside to try some food and drinks while waiting for the ceremony.
So this is, oh yes, what it looks like inside.
At 11 a.m., we made our way to the temple, with an exterior made out of pink sandstone from Rajasthan, India. We took off our shoes before walking up the stairs and took a moment to observe the intricate statues and carvings outside the temple doors. You weren't allowed to film inside the temple, but the interior was made completely out of intricately carved white marble, with different gods and gurus encased behind glass in stunning, bright, beautiful clothing. We observed the Arti Murti, also known as a ceremony of light, which according to their website involved waving lighted sticks before the sacred images to infuse the flames with the deity's love, energy, and blessings. I personally had goosebumps the entire time. The entire temple was white, and as the ceremony began, they opened up the front to reveal these colorful, majestic statues of their gods in front of a bright magenta curtain. I can't speak for sure, but I imagine that to be similar to the experience of moksha and enlightenment. The ceremony began with a guru in orange waving a candle in front of the statues while a song or chant was playing. The candle was then brought around where we dropped a donation and hovered our hands over the flame, then touched them to our eyes and head. We were then able to look around the mandir and see the shrines of the different gods and gurus. Again, I still had goosebumps the entire time. It was the same image of the bright, colorful, and extravagant statues in contrast to the plain white marble, which made the shrines so much more special. Afterward, we looked around the temple, and after realizing the exhibit was closed for maintenance, we headed back to the cafe to get new snacks to try and headed home. The intricacy in the architecture of the temple made me, in a way, feel very connected to the divine. Hinduism anchors its belief on enlightenment to channel with the divine, and I find that after visiting the temple, I gained, at least on a personal, individual level, an idea of what that connection might feel like. It felt like a place where the divine and the earthly soul meet in this place that was very heaven-like, even though Hinduism does not have a concept of heaven and hell, and in a way contributed to what made it feel extra sacred. Even if I'm not Hindu, I felt this strong sacredness of place, and on a deeper level, understand what people mean by channeling and experiencing divine in the current self. Whether worshipped literally or figuratively, as a representation of Brahman, you could feel the deep sense of devotion that people had, observing them as they hovered their hands over the candle or solemnly prayed in front of the shrines. Bhakti Yoga is my favorite out of all because of how Reading 2 talked about how love is the strongest emotion, and how this yoga was used to channel that through devotion, and experiencing the Arti Murti strengthened that. Long story short, I understood the Atman is Brahman concept on a much deeper and more personal level. I was feeling divine. I do wish to go back when the exhibit is open and to ask about the animals in the parking lot, and if that had any specific symbolism or if it was of any relevance to the religion. My biggest realization is that religion does not have to be taboo. I think coming from a very strict Catholic background, the concept of religion was either too cringe to talk about with my friends or too touchy to discuss with family beyond the usual religious teachings and rituals. After visiting this temple, I realized that the lack of education on Eastern religion specifically leaves room for a lot of missed knowledge, beauty, and appreciation. In observing how people prayed and worshipped their gods, I felt the same connection and devotion that, growing up, I observed people had towards Jesus or Mary, and this made me realize that religion is so fundamentally human. I think that there's so much we can draw from the beliefs of Hinduism that can resonate with people, like the hope that our changing karma brings, the beauty of the divinity in yourself and everyone around you, and the idea that every person is capable of enlightening to this higher consciousness. It's simply a matter of bringing these conversations to the table and encouraging openness to learning and immersing yourself in other religions. And who doesn't want to spend a day admiring the gorgeous architecture of the BAPS temple and also trying their delicious Indian food?